Hi, this is 36581 and I'm doing a reading challenge. So one of the goals for 2022 was to do the Buzzword Reading challenge for the year, and another one of my goals was to read more Futekiya from the Futekiya library, and I have done neither of those, so we're going to try and do both of them in the same video. Now, I started the year off really well reading a lot of Futekiya titles, so we're going to try and see if we can match some of those titles up to some of the Buzzword Reading challenges throughout the year and see if we can work out which ones I haven't quite finished yet. Now, it was ages ago since I last read anything on Futekiya, which is terrible and I feel really bad about it, but the last thing I read was actually really good, and I thoroughly recommend it. It was Pink Heart Jam, and of course jam is an object or an item, and so that can go into August's buzzword, and I feel good because I've at least achieved one of the prompts. Now, the next one on the list is A House Near the Station with a Wizard. Now, a house is kind of an object as well. It's near, so that's a direction, and the station is a location. So this could have actually been for 3 of the prompts, but I've decided to put it into directions for now. Now, the next one on the list, I haven't read the whole thing, just a few chapters because they were getting released at the time, is A Break from Japan. And of course, Japan is a location and I really liked it because obviously it's Japan. So I'm putting that one in for location. The next one in the list, I think it was an Amigaverse title, With Your Guidance. Either that or it was definitely something to do with workplace relationships. And I actually enjoyed it, but it does have a pronoun or a possessive pronoun with your, so I'm going to put it in for that month. Now, the next one on the list is When Two Alphas Become One, and for December, the buzzword is numbers. I've read 2 Futekiya titles this year that would qualify, but this is the first one that I've come across, so we're going to put that one in for December. Now, there's a couple more titles that are on the list, but they don't really qualify for some of the buzzwords, or they've qualified for ones that I've already put in. So the next one that we come across that actually is useful is Love Story of Hoshino Zoo. Now, Hoshino Zoo is a location, so it could be for that one. But the main word is story. Now, I just recently watched Kayla's version of completing her Buzzword reading challenge, and she used a lot of titles with the word story in, so I'm really happy that I managed to read the 2nd volume of this series, and that would be useful for the month of July, which is bookish words, so story is going to go in for July. Now, 100 Million Man is the next one with the numbers, which could have been for December, but the one afterwards is Fox Coloured Jealousy, and a fox is a creature or an animal, so I can put that into October. There were actually quite a few titles that could have been put into October because I did kind of read quite a lot of animal ear characteristics, that kind of thing, at the start of the year, and I enjoyed most of them. This one, Fox Colour Jealousy, I really enjoyed. And obviously, I also really enjoyed Beast Storm, Hug Me Baby. Beast Storm is still good, 100% recommend. Now, one I don't actually recommend is Why Don't We Start Sharing for Now, but luckily it's got an ing in there with sharing, so I can put it down for November, which is ing words. And I did, of course, a whole reading vlog with the 5 W's, who, what, where, when, why, and also a how. And When I See Your Face, I Can't Hold Back, has a when in there, so I'm gonna use that for January. Now, there were quite a few other titles that I read that had who, what, where, when, why, or how in it, all the way down to one of the first things I read, I think the 2nd Futekiya title I read in January or in 2022 was My Little Doggy, and I can put that down for April, which is big or little, small or large. So I have little for April as well. Now that leaves 2 months without anything, so I think I can get a TBR together to be able to complete the Buzzword Reading Challenge for 2022. But first of all, I do want to do a read of a particular one for July, even though I've already got one. There is a particular title with Bookstore in the title, and I just think that would be really perfect because it wasn't there when I first looked on Futekiya, so now it's been about 6 months, they've added new titles, so I'm going to start with that title. And that is Midnight Bookstore by Takokasi. Now I also need to find some titles for June because the buzzword was all, and I found All That Pierces the Heart by Kari Sumako. I think this would be an interesting one. I think it's 2 volumes, so I'll get a really good story out of that. As well as a second title, All I Think About Is You by Orishima Yupopo, which looks like an interesting one as well. Now when it comes to September, their buzzword is light, dark, or darkness, shadows, things like that. And I have already read Groping in the Dark by Akabeko. This is, I think, a 3-volume series I read last year around this time, and I really enjoyed it, but it was quite dark and disturbing, so I'm on the lookout for some ones with a little bit lighter touch. And the first one I came across was Cupid is Struck by Lightning by Suzumaru Minta. I am so happy about this because I read the first volume, but I haven't read the second volume. So that is actually going to go right at the top of my list. I'm going to read this straight away. I also noticed that Suzumaru Minta has another volume out on Futekiya that I haven't read yet, and I'm definitely reading that one as well. 100%. That's the first thing that's going to get read. There is also a short one that's only 4 chapters long, A Love to Like Afterlife by Miyu, which looks quite interesting, so I'm going to give that a go as well. And the last one that's on my TBR is Even If You Close Your Eyes, You Can See the Light. This is by Marukido Maki, who I've read everything else from on Futekiya. They did the Pornographer series, which I absolutely loved. It's an amazing series, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one as well. So that's my TBR for this video. I've got 6 things to read. I'm looking forward to them all. They all look quite interesting, and I'm going to get this buzzword done the way that I had originally intended, and that is by reading only Futekiya titles. So I have read now the Cupid is Struck by Lightning Volume 2. I had originally read the first volume, but then the second volume got uploaded, so I could read this and I could put this into my Buzzword Readathon for Light. I'm really happy about this. It was such a sweet story. It was great to be back with these characters, and it was great to be introduced to a new character as an antagonist, especially because Suzumaru Minta has used that character and created another story, which I of course instantly went and read, even though it's not part of the Buzzword reading challenge. It is Suzumaru Minta, so I had to read it, and this was The Love Song of the Cracker Ball, which is an interesting title. I don't really understand it, and so that was the antagonist of that, the little second volume, Takeo and his friend, is it Wako? And we had been introduced to them a little bit. We didn't really see very much of Wako, but he was there kind of in the background, making a couple comments. And the fact that Takeo had been introduced to the previous couple, and introduced to the fact that they were a couple, made him kind of open his eyes and go, oh, maybe I'm open to being a bit of a bisexual. And of course Wako, who's been secretly in love with him forever, since childhood friends pining. I absolutely loved it. He was like, why not me? And so yeah, it's a really cute little story. It's just about childhood friends pining great. And of course, it's Susan Minta, so the artwork is stunning and it's very well done. So I'm very happy to be able to have read this. Um, she's just so good. I'm very much looking forward to the physical copy. I think it's Golden Sparkle that Sublime's putting out. So onward to the next one.
Okay, so I've just started reading Midnight Bookstore, and this is one of the main characters, and I just burst out laughing as soon as I saw this. This is just chapter one. I have no idea who this person is, but I just in my head went, "What a slut!" Purely because of the way he's sitting and staring directly at you, like, "Hello, yes, I'm here." So I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm already enjoying this. This is good. So I read Midnight Bookstore by Tako Kasi, and I absolutely loved it. Tako Kasi has some more works on Futekiya, and I'm very interested in reading them. This was really nice. I liked the art style. I liked the characters. We have Komiya, who was the character who just was looking very slutty. And he's not at all. He ends up living in like a shared house that's above an old bookstore, and the owner of the bookstore, Yozo, has a second job, and that second job is sort of supernatural, and it's a kind of bartering, buying and selling, trading kind of store. So he works by buying and selling things from gods, and he himself ends up being something more than human. So yeah, Tako Kasi is someone I definitely want to read more from. This was really, really good, and I'm glad I read it. Yeah, this is one I highly recommend. It's so my kind of thing. So yeah, I'm very happy that I read this one. I also read another one, A Love to Light the Afterlife, by Miyu. And this is another supernatural, but unfortunately this one has 4 chapters. It says like volumes, but they're actually just chapters. And it's incomplete, and I did not know that going in. This is the kind of thing that I think I would have given a much higher rating for if it was complete, because it has lovely artwork, very, very commercially acceptable kind of artwork. And it's about 2 people who have been friends since childhood. There's a lot of pining, mutual pining, but unknown. They don't know that they're actually in love with each other. And one of them ends up getting killed, saving a little boy, running out into the street. And the other one ends up going to the afterlife and trying to convince them to come and be in love with them and come back to the real world. So they're going into the afterlife to try and, claim their love that they never claimed in real life. And there's a couple of sort of other godly like figures in this as well. So yeah, 4 chapters, and unfortunately unfinished because I was thoroughly enjoying it. And then it suddenly was like, oh, there's no more. And I don't think it's been updated for a while. Yeah, 2021, unfortunately. So yeah, it was a really good one though, and hopefully it will get finished at some point. Now, this is the other one that I've just finished, and that is Even If You Close Your Eyes, You Can See the Light. And this is by Marukido Maki, who does the pornographer story. This is 8 chapters, so it's quite a long one. It is very spicy. This is because it involves stories about the adult industry, actors who are very actively working in that industry, and it's sort of it is an interesting one because it's about male adult actors acting in pornography for the female gaze, specifically for the female gaze. And so 2 actors will be paired together as like buddies, and they will work together with them regularly, and so Jin and Hikaru are paired together, and they get to know each other and they work alongside each other, and you get to know a lot about their backstory, their families, and things like that. Until the point where they can maybe accept each other for more than just being a work colleague and a friend. They become caring for each other. But it's a long road, and it's a very fraught one. So there's a lot going on, and it's quite emotional as well. So yeah, it was very interesting, and I'm really glad I read this. Very adult, as you would expect from Marukido Maki. Her pornographer series is absolutely wonderful. I haven't watched the drama version, and I would like to. But yeah, this one was a good one, and of course I can add it as well to my light reads as well. So I have now read All That Pierces the Heart. This is by Kari Sumako. Um, it was really interesting. Like, the art style is not particularly beautiful, but I still enjoy it. This was a 2-volume series, so like a duology type thing, and it follows a man who is estranged from his father, and it's a lot about father and son relationships in this. And it turns out that his father kind of found out that he was gay and didn't accept that part of him, so he ran away from home, and then finds out as an adult that his father has passed away. And when he gets back home, there was a man living with his dad. And it's like, what? His father was very popular and beloved by many, and he ends up finding out a lot about his father and about the man that his father lived with. Even though it wasn't a sexual relationship between his father and that man, there was certainly some emotional connection, and he ends up developing feelings for that man, and the man worked at the school. And it's a big thing. It's like quite a long story with the 2 volumes, but I did enjoy it. It was kind of a quiet, small little story, but it kind of dealt with really heavy, big themes for this character, and the fact that his very being and who he was, he felt was rejected by the only person in his life, because his mother had passed away. So he was only ever raised by his father, and so to have no one else felt really sad. So yeah, it was about families and connections. It was quite nice. And then the last one that I've read for this Buzzword reading challenge with Futekiya is All I Think About Is You by Orishima Yupopo. Now, I'm going to go into this because it's quite funny. Like, when I first saw this artwork, it's very polished, it looks very computer made, and I thought, okay, it's going to be one of those kinds of titles. And especially when I saw this particular image, I instantly thought, okay, so it's a threesome, it's going to be sex heavy, it's going to be porn, no plot. Okay, fine, fair enough. But it is not. It is anything but. I thought it was really interesting because the first 3 chapters, Thinking Only of You, follows each of the different characters. It gives background to their childhood friendship and how that developed and how they came to be as a sort of threesome friend group. But it also moves the story along in the present. And there is a twist. Oh, the twist! Because after this first chapter, I was like, oh, this isn't a porn no plot story at all. This is all plot. This is all feels. This is all feelings. And you get the kind of gist from by the 3rd story. You're like, oh, okay, then this is 100% childhood friends love triangle. And when you have love triangle, very often it's not a real true love triangle, and I hate that. But this is a true love triangle. One of them loves the other. That one loves the other guy. That guy loves him. It's like proper triangle. It is like, oh, chef's kiss, childhood pining, and all of that. And so at a certain point, I
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. Like, I was rooting for it to be a throuple. I was rooting for the three of them to end up being together in a lovely relationship. I was like, yes, polyamorous. Yes, for that. Because they all care for each other because they're good friends, but they all love one of them in the group. And I was like, well, okay, just open your hearts a little more and, see what happens. And no, it doesn't go that way. And so I just found it really amusing because I saw this instantly, was like, oh, it's going to be porn, no plot, it's going to be a threesome, whatever. And by the end of it, I was rooting for this. I was rooting for what it was that I had originally just gone, nah, not interested. And I was like, no, I'm interested now. This is what I want. Give me what I want. Give me what I originally thought it was. And it's not. And they don't end up as a throuple. And I was absolutely bitterly disappointed. It was like, hold on, I feel missold here. It ends in a way that I'm a little bit like, meh, okay then, fine, fair enough. But I still, I don't like it when love triangles don't end up with the three of them. If you're gonna have a love triangle, make it a proper love triangle. I want the drama. I want the pining. I want, and this gave all of that. This gave all of that. It just, in the end, it didn't give me the throuple I was after, which was ironic because this was exactly what I wasn't after when I first saw the title. So I'm actually really pleased that I read this one. So with these two, All I Think About Is You and All That Pierces the Heart, I can put them into my Buzzword reading challenge for Futekiya, and it means that I have now completed my Buzzword reading challenge for 2022 using only Futekiya titles, which is exactly what I was planning on doing anyway at the very start of the year. So I feel good and I feel accomplished. So I'm wondering if anyone else is doing the Buzzword reading challenge, if you've managed to do it this year, if you're still doing it, because we still have December to go. I would be interested to see if I've actually completed this reading challenge in BL manga, physical, or if I've done it through reading Male Male Romance. So that would be two other challenges to see. So I might have a look at that and see if I have actually done that. And if I have, I will probably show you. If you'd like to see a video, let me know down in the comments. So yeah, I've enjoyed reading Futekiya titles. I'm going to see if I can renew and do another 6 months because I haven't used it. And this past week has been really fun. And there's so many great titles on here that I need to read. Especially, I have to say, I think I found a new favourite with Takokasi, Midnight Bookstore. I need to read all of Takokasi on here. It just looks chef's kiss, my kind of stuff. Very small, with sort of traditional Japanese elements and a bit of folklore or folktale or supernatural in there as well. And I'm like, perfect for me. So yeah, thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it interesting. And let me know down in the comments below if you have completed your Buzzword reading challenge for 2022 and if you're looking forward to doing it again or for the first time in 2023. I am always interested in doing it. I think I will be more productive, fingers crossed, next year. We'll see. But yeah, thanks for watching. Take care everyone. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!